Welcome to Joyfully Ever After with Rhonda. I'm Rhonda. I have a question for you. Do you find joy in the little things in life? Do you wait and find joy in the big things in life? Where exactly do you find joy? I'm going to tell a story about myself to showcase how for years I didn't really appreciate either the big joys or the little joys. That's how negative I was. So I went to Emerson College, which is a very expensive college in Boston, Massachusetts. And I didn't have the money, and my parents didn't have the money to send. And by my senior year, I had nowhere else to go, and I ran out of money. I was called into the registrar's office, and I was told, hey, your professors have been told not to let you in class until you pay the rest of your tuition. And this was in my very last semester. I kept going to classes. Luckily, my professors let me in. And one of my mentors, his name was Brooks, talked to a very important donor for the school. And he told him about me. I had started a musical theater society auction that had raised money for the Musical Theater Society. I was very active in the debate club and the Musical Theater Society. Oh, I was on the who's who of colleges that year. And a lot of schools, that's just like a money making thing. But at Emerson, they really made a big deal about it. And you really had to have some great credentials. I was very proud of that. Brooks got this donor who didn't even know me to pay off my tuition. And I was going to get to meet this donor at the who's who reception banquet thing. So I met this person after I had several glasses of champagne, and I wasn't a big drinker. So I was tipsy when I met this person. I can't even imagine what he thought of me. Do I remember his name? Did I ever get his full name and address? No, no. I was happy for like 10 minutes that my tuition was paid and I could graduate. But when I got to meet the man who made it happen, I didn't even express all that much gratitude. I didn't show the joy of getting to actually graduate from Emerson College. When I think about that today, I just get so sad. And I wish I had a way of finding out who that was. The other memory I have around graduation is I was invited to a party, and it was a party that was going to be at the Ritz-Carlton. Because most people who went to Emerson, well, I shouldn't say most. Yeah, no, most people, their parents had money. And so I couldn't wait to go to this party at the Ritz-Carlton. I had never set foot into the Ritz-Carlton. I wanted to go inside the Ritz-Carlton. But no, instead, I had to go with my family to a restaurant that my mother chose where you eat peanuts at the table and throw the shells on the floor. I was horrified. Now, why did my mother pick that? It was a place that they could afford. It was a place that was easy for my grandmother, who was very old at the time, to get in and out of. But was I at all grateful or joyful that they wanted to celebrate me and go out? No, I didn't find any gratitude or any joy in that. Once again, when I look back at that, I really missed out because now I would give anything to have my family with me. So, those are two examples, one of a huge joy, one of a small joy of just being with family, which also could be looked at as a huge joy. And I didn't let myself experience them. I wasn't looking for joy, I was only looking for the negative. And so I always found the negative. I'm not a therapist, but I do think that we're wired these days to look more for the negative. That's why negative, sensational stories get more attention in the news. Even when I'm making YouTube thumbnails, when I ask different sites for suggestions for thumbnails, most of what they give me has a negative bend to it. And I just don't want to play. Unless it's something that's accurate for what you're going to see on my channel, I don't want to do a sensational negative thumbnail just to get views. I want it to be honest and real. I also think we've been taught that joy is earned from a milestone like graduating college or high school, or a huge vacation, or something else special and big. Some people are even embarrassed to admit that they have small joys in their life. The other day, my husband and I were driving down the street, and he said, "Oh, look at the clouds, the gray and the white and the blue. There are so many different shades. Isn't it beautiful?" And I said, "Oh my gosh, yes." And then after a minute, I said, "Honey, would you have pointed that out or noticed it before I was in your life?" "Well, I think I would have, but I wouldn't have enjoyed it as much." That made me happy. So I have 3 ideas of how we can train ourselves to really find more joy and appreciate joy. Here's the first one. Let's call it the 3 breath pause. So when you see something that gives you joy, maybe it's a bird flying in the sky, maybe you're watching some waves in the ocean, any small thing. If you say, "Wow, that's beautiful," just take 3 breaths and let yourself really enjoy it and take it in. That will help train our minds to really appreciate the moments. The second idea is one I've shared on this channel before, which is the joy journal. Make a practice every night of writing down. I really encourage writing down, but you can also just think about it. 3 things that brought you joy today. I still do this every night. I think about 3 things that brought me joy in the day. And I believe that that does train our mind because, as I said earlier, you find what you're looking for. So if you're looking for joy, you're going to find more joy. There's also a yoga practice. This isn't a part of my yoga practice, but I've heard about it, where you approach things as if it's the first time you've ever done it. Like you're getting up in the morning and you're making your coffee, and try to think about it like it's the first time you've ever done it, and see if that brings any joy or amazement to your life. I would love to hear if you try any of these things in the comments and if it makes you focus more on joy. And then I'd like to know a few weeks later if you're finding more and more joy of things that have happened before but you've never really appreciated. Also in the comments, I would like to know one thing recently, think about it, one thing that brought you unexpected joy. You know, there's joy that we expect, but then there's joy that kind of just comes up on us. I'll give you an idea of an unexpected joy. The other night I went to a restaurant where I always get the same dish. And I really challenged myself, come on, get something different, try something new, and I did. But before it was served, I thought, oh, it's never going to be as good as what I always get. And then I had an unexpected joy. It was delicious. And I was so happy that now I have several things that I can choose from and know that are going to be spectacular. That was an unexpected joy for me. A joy that I believe I've shared before is in the morning, my husband and I love to have coffee together and watch the butterflies play in our garden. And when you watch the butterflies, they go from one flower and they enjoy that one flower. They have such joy on that flower. And then they go to another flower and then they have joy there. They don't look at the whole entire garden. They just focus on one small joy at a time. And that's what I want to strive to do. I want to strive to enjoy every moment I can, just like a butterfly. You don't have to have a big view of joy. You just have to have that one small moment, that one small flower. As always, if you want joy in your life, I want you to have more joy in your life because I believe we all deserve to be joyfully ever after. I'll see you real soon.